I'm Dennis Metzger. I'm a Superior Livestock representative from California, home now. I work about a 13-state area. Last year I shipped cattle in 13 different states, focused primarily on front-end genetically known cattle. Work as a team with my producers to add more value to their product, not only through genetics, but also through a competitive bidding system at the end. And whether that's a ball and calf, a wean calf stocker operation, and or grass cattle. So we work with them in every avenue to add as much value as we can through a competitive bidding system. Like I said earlier, I handle a fair amount of front-end Charolais genetics also. That's my forte, you might say, is front-end Charolais genetics throughout the country and market them primarily on the video, but some country trade. Been very fortunate to have topped several weight categories in several different regions this year with Charolais influenced genetics throughout mostly the western United States, primarily is where those cattle would have originated from. But Charolais genetics have done very well this summer. Like I said earlier, they've topped several weight categories, been noticeable, and if we even add value-added programs to those cattle, such as NHTC, in some cases GAP Level 4, third-party verified all-natural cattle, we've seen even bigger premiums in those cattle. Agent sources is the new buzzword again, primarily because of the China wanting products. So we're seeing the increase in the agent source, an increase in value in agent source and NHTC product. It's kind of what the protocol is going to be for export to China. Obviously, the dollar getting weaker has renewed our United Kingdom interest. So exports look very promising, and NHTC program has been particularly favorable for Charolais influenced cattle, and look for that to continue. Obviously, good cattle always have extra and added value, but the more added value you can put to them because of an additional value-added program, the better chance you have of recognizing more premiums yet. It's you know, I'm a firm believer that not one breed can do it all. It takes a combination of usually two breeds, in my opinion, to maximize profit potential in cattle or added value. But Charolais cattle, and I have several cases where we segregate. I'll use Angus black-hided cattle against silvers, dark-nosed silvers, and most of the time we'll see the silver cattle bring as much, if not more. And then way more. It's all about dollars per head is your bottom line. That's where you're headed anyhow. So even if they weigh more and bring a little less per hundred, still dollars per head is what it's all about. And that's where we see the extra value come from. And that's simply because a lot of times just extra performance. And as one of the panelists said earlier, you know, that's about the only thing free in the business anymore is heterosis. From my commercial customer standpoint, you have to utilize several different things and to make that work, along with genetics, you know, and EPDs. Obviously, those are important, but I think you've got to do a balanced attack. You can't focus primarily on ribeye or marbling. It's still got to be a balanced attack. And in my case, I have several customers that are running Char cross cows, mainly silver cows, so there's some maternal value to those products too. But I think most of these commercial cattlemen are a terminal. Their Charolais part of it is terminal, and so growth is still their number one priority. Obviously, you know, birth weight starts with birth weight, but growth is still their number one thing. And the Charolais breed's done a good job of taking the birth weight out of the equation. It's not as big a factor in the equation anymore as it used to be, and so then it becomes more about weaning weight, yearling weight, and then your carcass traits is what a lot of our commercial producers are looking at when they make Charolais seed stock genetic selection. I think one thing that we as Charolais seed stock breeders don't promote enough and don't recognize enough, that the one thing that's particularly important to these buyers of feeder cattle is they don't have to wonder about the genetic side of things. It's pretty obvious that when you look at a Charolais cross, you can recognize what he is. No uncertainty to that at all. The dark-nosed silvers, the buckskins, everybody knows what at least half the equation is, and I think that's a big factor to a lot of our seed stock, or to a lot of our producers. But more importantly, you know, when cattle are, you know, no matter what venue we choose to market those cattle in, particularly in auction barns where you don't get a lot of history and knowledge about them, when a set of silvers or dark-nosed buckskins walk in the ring, you know exactly what half the equation is, and I think that's a very big plus for the Charolais breed.